Live pictures right now that we want to get to of Eagle Pass, Texas, just before sunset there. An estimated 4,000 illegal immigrants, mostly from Venezuela, will cross in the next 24 hours. That is very close to an all-time record for one day in one place.
Oh my gosh, I'm on the verge of heat stroke. It's 107. Law enforcement told me to park up at the golf course, do the, I would say, almost a half-mile walk on bumpy pavement with my terrible hard-wheeled rock and roller. I did that. The shot was garbage. I went back, got the van, repositioned to here. We got, they said we've got, oh shoot, he told me, 7,000 migrants in the last 48 hours. Don't quote me. I may have that wrong from the heat stroke. I think it was 7,000 crossed in here to Eagle Pass, Texas sector in the last 48 hours. I think I'm on the verge of rolling my van coming over this berm.
Because the mayor does not have the authority to call an emergency order. This is not a natural disaster. It's a man-made disaster created by him and the people and the Biden administration. The mayor is responsible for this. So he has no right to call an executive order or an emergency order to tell us what to do and put the burden on the working people of this beautiful, once beautiful city. The shame with him.
So what's the answer, Scott? You're out in the streets. I understand you're angry, and you make some great points in terms of what.
The answer is we have plenty of. First of all, close the effing border. Number one, every day it's the top story, and the Biden administration, he's in the city right now, all week. He didn't mention it once or sit down with the mayor to discuss this. This is one of the worst things to happen to this country with this administration. People, stop voting locally. You saw what de Blasio did to the city, and this guy's 10 times worse. When are you people going to learn? You get what you deserve is what they say. Smart enough, people. I got to go.
Scott, look, I hear you, and I'm watching. Okay, looks like we're losing Scott.
2100, checked into the hotel, took a shower, then went out for dinner, and now I'm back. I got a few little maintenance items before my alarm clock goes off at 4 a.m. My plates got switched around a little bit. This is my Amira plate, and the Amira, this touch and go needs to be forward. So all day today I shot with it on the forward end, which made the camera back heavy, and I had to park and hike down to where I was working, so I didn't have a screwdriver and the ability to switch it. So that was a pain. Every time I unlocked the head, the camera wanted to tilt. So I've got that moved to a centered position, which should be good now for the FX9. Next, I want to install a little touch and go on this electro receiver bracket. Use some Loctite, seated this on here. This works out well. So with that locked in, that stack height makes it easy to get to the BNCs, also makes the XLRs accessible.
Of new immigrants. They cross into the U.S., inundating the resources in the town of Eagle Pass, Texas. Obviously, the border towns all along the Mexico line have been inundated for a long time. But we have a live look right now at some of the 4,000 immigrants that just made their way into the U.S. We have team coverage from across the nation this morning. Allie Bradley live as one city in Texas declares a new state of emergency. We're talking about Eagle Pass, Texas, because of so many people crossing. And over the last couple of days, more than 4,000 immigrants, mostly from Venezuela, crossed into Eagle Pass, Texas, leading city officials to declare a state of emergency there. We have a live look where some of them are being detained under a bridge. So we have team coverage from across the nation. Allie Bradley live in Eagle Pass with that state of emergency from Venezuela. Around 4,000 in the past 2 days as Eagle Pass, Texas. City officials there are now declaring a state of emergency. 4,000 migrants in 2 days crossing into the border town, leading them to do what they can because their hands are tied. People are still allowed to come into the country seeking asylum, no matter the cause. Allie Bradley continues with the latest on this situation. And are they being held there in Eagle Pass, or are they just being released?
Yeah, so right now what you're seeing here, where we have around 350 people, they're in this staging area. Once they cross over, they're coming over from Piedras Negras, and they're ending up in that Eagle Pass area underneath that bridge, Adrienne. And what they're going to be doing is transporting them to a soft-sided facility called Firefly that is maxed out. They don't have room for them, so they have them staged under that bridge, and then they'll be transported for processing. From there, they'll either be removed or entered into removal proceedings, which comes with a notice to appear, which is likely in a few years.
Haley, so when there's a line, I'm following the line of people. So I'm over here right now, but this tends to clear out and go over to the staging area. But anytime I can be on this path with people, I'm trying to get that river and the bridge in the background. And if it ends up being empty during our hit, I'll be on this staging area. Fox News has got the best backdrop today. I don't have a correspondent, so I don't need it. But they also have a drone pilot out flying, 2 photographers, and today it looks like they're doing their live shots on an FX9. And then I've been eyeing some of these SUV rigs. And now, every time I'm on news, I'm thinking, man, I should buy a small compact SUV. Get an old, I was even thinking there's another freelancer up in Dallas who bought a police auction Tahoe. I'm gonna leave the van running all day today because when I jumped in this morning and turned the key, I got the slow crank of death. My stock battery is toast. And I've been ringing the auto parts store. I get 40-minute gaps between my live shots where I can run and get a replacement battery, bring it back here, and then I'll just swap it out here on location.
We begin tonight on the southern border, where one official warned they are in the middle of the worst crisis yet. There is a state of emergency in the small town of Eagle Pass, Texas, where 3,000 migrants crossed just yesterday, and another 3,000 more are expected to cross just today. Many are crawling through razor wire, hurling their backpacks and belongings over the top, using their clothing to protect their hands as they try to peel open dangerous barbed wire. They are arrested as soon as they get through, but many say they have already waited months to cross legally and could wait no longer. Border Patrol recorded more than 10,000 arrests along the southern border just yesterday. It's unclear what is driving this sudden, massive surge, but 800 active-duty military are now on their way to the border, and Texas Governor Greg Abbott is sending National Guard troops to repel illegal crossings. Once all these migrants cross, most go further north to cities like New York, Boston, and Chicago, where migrants are sleeping in shelters, on city streets, and on the floors of police stations. After months of pleas from the mayor of New York City and the governor of New York State for help, the Biden administration last night announced that migrants from Venezuela who arrived before July 31st will be allowed to work. The hope is that these migrants will now be able to buy their own food and shelter instead of forcing American taxpayers to pay for it all. Governor Hochul was quick to claim credit for it last night.
Flag I got over here. Come on, guys. You come and told me to get on the other side of the little line. I got on the side. Holy shit. It's so freaking hypocritical.
Well, I can't. My camera's about to get doused. Shit, I'm not gonna get there in time. Come on, brother, turn it off. Oh, thank you. Thank you. You know, it's always the like, get a good rapport going, you get some access. You know, there's a bit of the like, beg for forgiveness versus ask for permission, but you know, be smart about it. And then you get some of these like, I don't know, smaller media people with their freaking iPhones. There's a crew down here that's like way into the no-go zone. So now we got pushed back, we got cones all around the perimeter, and you know, I talked to a couple of the agents and they're like, you know what, if you cross these, we're going to push you guys back even further up to this levee line where these vehicles are parked. Sucks. Like yesterday, it was kind of cool. They were okay with me getting a little closer to the road so I could shoot up over the fence, but now we're pushed back so far I got to shoot through that orange fence, which is a crap shot. Hey Paula, here's your train bridge, and they're crossing in right here. I just actually fed about 2 minutes ago another clip on my live camera, but anyway, they're crossing here, and then DPS this time is escorting. We've had big groups, I would say 150 plus, 3 or 4 of them. And then just for perspective, here's the bridge where they're staging migrants. So, but anyway, if you look on a map, directly under the train bridge. So here's the dance in the story this week. The Texas Guard, or the National Guard, I'm not sure, they install the wire and repair the wire, and the feds, Border Patrol, are cutting the wire to allow migrants to enter. So, yep.
They have some tents. They have a lot of them.
Alright, just had breakfast for dinner. Pretty good. Philly cheesesteak omelet with some fresh fruit and 5 cups of water because I did not hydrate enough today. Hotel, there's one Marriott property in town, it's fully booked, so this is number 2, I would say, and then the La Quinta is number 3. So my battery alternator question marks continue. I am getting 13.5 volts with the engine idling. Now I idled it all day today. I know it's terrible for the engine. I believe this particular, it's French or Italian, the truck's a Fiat, but the motor that's in there, I'm not sure. But I've read online that the valves, top end of the engine doesn't get enough oil when it's just idling. And I idled the thing for over 12 hours today. I mean, I did some driving throughout the day, but you know, most of the time just idling. I was able to run to an auto parts store. I picked up a new battery. I bought the premium best one, AGM gel, which I believe is what's in there now. Now the battery that's in this truck is the factory original. It's a Bosch. It's a good battery, but 2017, so it's 6 years old. I think way past its life. But my house bank was also low. Like the fridge was not, it was throwing an error, low voltage error. So I think all day, or I didn't even idle all day yesterday, maybe 5 hours of idling yesterday. And then I drove under 10 minutes to the hotel here. So it's possible maybe my alternator's starting to fail. So at idle, it's not putting out enough amps. Although yesterday I was charging 2 to 4 gold mount batteries. I think only 2 the last couple hours with the inverter. Plus the AC running, the blower on high. All right, it is 5:45 local time. I'm up and streaming, but the night crew yesterday that extended me into today did not let the morning assignment desk know I was going to be here. So the border correspondent isn't filing a report until 3 hours from now. And it's eerily quiet. There are 0 migrants. I don't think in my 2 years coming down to Eagle Pass, I've never rolled up in the dark and seen 0 migrants here. And the last 2 days were the biggest surge this little spot has ever had. Emergency field repairs.
Of the Rio Grande on the edge of Eagle Pass has been the area where we've seen thousands of people crossing in the last few days. But this morning, really dramatically different, and we've been able to see across the Rio Grande here. You can see out there in the little island in the middle of the river, there's a group of 3 migrants that are coming by. You'll notice that 2 of them are wearing life jackets. There was a group of Texas state law enforcement. One of those victims included a 3-year-old boy. So this is the area, Kate, where we saw hundreds showing up yesterday, migrants crossing here into Eagle Pass to continue. The mayor told us that last night that
New this morning, responding to what looks like a war zone.
These cities are just not equipped to have this many people on the ground without food, medicine. There are children among this group.
The mayor of Eagle Pass, Texas, expecting illegal immigrant crossings to remain at record high levels all weekend, with thousands straining a system already stretched thin.
So I had a 14-hour day yesterday and day 3 now. I'm getting a little punchy. I just looked out there. I'm like, oh crap, where's my camera? Where's my camera? It's right there.
I'm just curious, is the
I'll see.
y ya de ahí se vinieron caminando.
From our News Nation headquarters in America's Heartland, time for News for All America. I'm Adrienne Bankert.
And I'm Nick Smith in for Marky Martin. She has the day off.
That's right.
Getting a little bit of rest.
Yes, it's nice to sleep in every once in a while. Here's what we have for you on a Friday. Stephanie Haynes has the latest on the emergency declaration in Eagle Pass, Texas, as hundreds of migrants continue crossing the border.
And Kelsey Kernstein tells us about
This morning, an emergency declaration set to last until at least Tuesday as federal, state, and local officials struggle to deal with the surge of immigrants crossing into the United States from Mexico.
Yeah, this is a live look at Eagle Pass, Texas. It's quite right now, but this time Thursday, this area was packed with migrants. Now, according to the mayor of Eagle Pass, more than 2,400 migrants arrived in his city in one day alone, overwhelming residents and their resources. Now, both Texas Governor Greg Abbott and the White House are sending extra help. Stephanie Hayes is live this morning with more information. Stephanie, this has been a difficult situation for everyone on the ground in those communities and leadership.
So difficult, Nick and Adrienne. And you know what, as you said, quiet right now, but that could change at any second because this is the tricky part of the border. Officials are constantly overwhelmed. It's impossible to prepare. And everyone does seem to agree there needs to be some way to stop these illegal crossings between the ports of entry, but there hasn't been a viable solution.
The most recent surge of migrants is stoking panic along the U.S.-Mexico border once again. Video provided to News Nation shows migrants riding on top of train cars as a fast track to the border. In Eagle Pass, Texas, migrants are crawling under barbed wire along the Rio Grande River, dozens of them huddling under the bridge to Mexico, waiting to be processed. U.S. Customs and Border Protection announced it is suspending vehicle processing at Bridge 1 to free up officers to help take migrants into custody.
Cities are just not equipped to have this many people on the ground without being inside, without, food, medicine, all the things that you would need for large groups of people. There are children among this group.
Over the past few days, officials tell News Nation a 3-year-old boy died after he was pulled from the river, and the next day, an adult male. The mayor of Eagle Pass issued an emergency declaration. Texas Governor Greg Abbott has deployed the state National Guard and DPS troopers.
We will have additional state troopers, National Guard, and we will start making arrests for state violations.
Guardsmen are installing more razor wire along the Rio Grande. The White House calls the governor's actions, quote, a political stunt, and says it has taken a number of actions, including deploying 800 new active duty personnel to the border, in addition to the 2,500 National Guardsmen, and vows to deal with the border in a humane, safe, and orderly manner.
This is an issue that's been around for decades. This is a broken immigration system. This is why the president on his first day put forth a comprehensive piece of legislation to try to deal with this immigration.
And another thing, Governor Greg Abbott tweeted out a video that appears to show federal agents cutting and removing that concertina wire along the Rio Grande. I reached out to Customs and Border Protection for a comment, Adrienne, but I have not heard back. Adrienne.
I think a lot of Americans are saying, what plan has the White House put in place? Exactly what? Thank you, Stephanie. After crossing into the U.S., most immigrants are processed and then released, making their way to large cities in hopes of finding more people from their home country who speak their language and hopefully finding some kind of work.
Just playing out the day's footage, and then I get to go home. Sometimes I forget to time my shots, and they go a little long, so I got to keep track here. If they're more than 10 seconds, that was 57, so 07. We got to push though. There we go. Next. 55. I guess these first few are from yesterday, end of day, but they didn't use them, so they weren't when I was live, so then you get captured. Alright, next. I wish the camera didn't... Actually, I wish I could make a playlist and just select the clips I want to play out versus playing out all of it. I wonder if the news cameras do that. If you can... and I can't delete. I believe my old Panasonic P2s, you could delete clips in camera, like a DSLR. I guess the FX3 will do that. Kind of wish I could do it on the 9. I know it's a digital cinema camera, but all the networks for the most part here, this is the lead story the last 2 days, and the most common network level camera, Mexican networks as well as US, is FX9, and I did see one FX6. I think I'm gonna hit next on this, even though this is a good shot. Next, it's getting stale. Oh, it's the same thing. Wow, I was gained up really high. I don't know, 20,000. It's kind of grainy. I'm not sure if you can see it on the iPhone. It's beyond the close focus. See, my van says it's 111 outside. I think it's more like 107, 106. That's the sun temp. Look at that sky. This was killing me for daytime. This little 3 detention areas under the fence, so the migrants are in the shade, but the fence in the foreground was nailed by direct sun. There we go, that's what it was like. Migrants are shadowed. Oops, that wasn't a long enough clip. So this is crazy. My 2 years covering the border, I have never seen this many people come over in a 2-day span. Today was a little lighter, but man, those first 2 days, it was crazy. Like the Del Rio crisis about 18 months ago, although I didn't cover that. And I know El Paso has had high volume as well. I'm gonna hit next. Clips are looking a little more orange on the iPhone here than they are in playback, although that is a little warm. I guess that just helps us tell the story of the miserable heat that we're experiencing out here. Feeling pretty good. I've kind of acclimated to it. I was sweating like crazy the first afternoon. Sweat just running down the lenses of my sunglasses, so I couldn't wear them. And days 2 and 3, I didn't have that drippy sweat problem. You know, just like you got like a wet shirt and wet pants the whole time, but kind of helps keep you cool. I was running a neck gaiter for a bit also, keep the sun off my neck, and I was dumping water bottles on it to stay warm. And boy, what else can I talk about here as I watch footage? I'm gonna hit next on that. Mexican law enforcement telling people no. River crossing, so what was that, 18 or 19? Stop shaking the camera, David. All right, next. The other thing that would be sweet that I can do on my iPhone is to trim clips, have handles. I want to get rid of the first few seconds and the last, you know, just make them 10-second clips. And I forgot to time this one. I'm going to let it run a little bit more. Chain of terrified folks. Look at that kid in the red hat. There was I think it was an infant that drowned the day before I got here. But in this little sector, I don't think we've had any drownings in the time I've been here, fortunately. Next. Family of 3. As you get closer to shore on the US side, it's the deepest point, but it's like for those two, it's probably just a little bit above waist, but I haven't been in that water with that current moving. I can only imagine how terrifying it is. It's gonna sweep you up off your feet. Next. National Guard or Texas Guard, I mix them up. A flats boat. We've got I got some great shots on my iPhone of the Florida FWC in their fan boat throwing life jackets to some terrified migrants, prevent a future drowning. I think we're into today now. Getting close to the end here. Man, this camera's a little overexposed. I'm running the Rec 709 LUTs, and I messed with I forget now. You can look back on some of my previous videos of tuning the FX9 for shooting broadcast news. But I got the detail turned up. I've messed with the gamma and the knee, and I shifted the white point for white balance in the magenta direction a little bit, just to emulate what I'm seeing out of the studio cameras from my primary news client. I think that's an FX9 on that gentleman's shoulder right there. Next. So I think the official number was, in the last 2 days, 2,000 migrants per day just in this area, Eagle Pass, Texas. And I would say, well, I don't know for sure, the vast majority, if not all of them, 90%, let's say, from Venezuela. Talked to a few Cubans. Actually, that was it for me. It was just universally Venezuela and a couple of Cuba. Next. Just to get my iPhone's running, because they asked me in feeds how many minutes of footage I had, and I'm like, I don't know, 10 minutes, and we've been rolling for 7, and I'm getting close here. Next. Might get it done. So what a lot of these folks don't know is, I believe it's easier to cross downriver from this point, but people have a tendency to want to walk upstream to try to find a way across. There is a boat ramp under a couple bridges up, but that's now all blocked off. When I first started covering this 2 years ago, that was open, but it was also, the staging area for Border Patrol and Texas DPS. That's where they'd launch their patrol boats every day and do shift changes. Okay, this is today, big group. Yeah, we've been in today for a bit. One of the big Venezuelan groups coming across. Gosh, I think I shot this on my iPhone and this, oh, maybe not. Can't shoot in 2 places at the same time. Well, I can, but no, I'm tracking focus here. It's just all looking the same to me. Yeah, I'm exhausted because this is way more clips than I remember shooting. 47 to 59. All right, I'm gonna cut this camera. 8 minutes. No, I'll keep it going. I'll chapterize this video, so if you've seen enough of my work here on the border, you can just skip ahead to the next chapter. Stale. I'm gonna skip the hell. There we go. Just when I think it's time to hit the next button, the camera cuts. And yeah, this pickup busted my shot, but I kept the roll thinking it could be a reveal. There we go. Action was pretty good. Truck clears, they start walking. I think this was an escort for a big group. or a small group, or a big group. I know I keep talking about how much I'd like to have a 2/3 inch ENG cam with the proper broadcast zoom, but now, the last couple days, I'm thinking maybe just a little, I've gone full circle, back to the little Sony Z90V, is that it? I saw there's one for sale used on Facebook Marketplace right now. I think it was like $1,700 US, it was in Arizona. But for assignments like this one where I don't have a correspondent with me, I'm just hunting for B-roll and live bump shots, that little camera would be great. I think it does 24 or 30 something X digital zoom, smooth zoom in 1080 mode, and then doesn't use much power. I'd have to come up with a better sunlight viewable setup for it. Maybe I'd just do one of these OC monitors with a hood, and then I'll do a dual Anton Bauer rig, just like this camera. So I can run the live view, all the accessories, and the camera off 2 batteries. This has been working well. I've adapted to running the live view tethered off of the camera, so I only have 2 batteries in use at a time versus 3. And this is only my, no, this is my 3rd battery change out. So I went through 6 bricks today without doing any recharging, and I've been up majority of the time since about 5:45 local AM, and it's about 15:30, 15:45 right now. I'm gonna hit next. This is getting old. Yeah, my footage looks a little magenta. Oh, you know what? That's the OC monitor, maybe. Yeah, it's got more brown to it. Oh, they look similar on the iPhone, but no, this looks good to my eyes here. But this one, my own vision here, sitting in the van, looks magenta. Where are we at? 53 of 59. Jeez, David, you shoot too much. My consuming habits for media, I gave up cable television before I was married. No, just after I got married. So I think it's been 19, almost 20 years that I haven't had cable TV or traditional broadcast TV. I was an early adopter to Netflix, YouTube from its inception, and I don't watch any kind of mass-produced media. The stuff I make for my job, I don't, because it's work. I don't want to watch it on my off time. I have trouble sitting through Hollywood entertainment for the same reasons. And I like just raw, kind of like my vlogs. I like just raw, long form video on demand with my ability to skip ahead. If it's a boring section, I just scrub through it. So just watching my own footage play out, this is the last one I'm gonna have to call them. All right, we'll leave that there.